go. Oh, it's me. Sorry, everyone. I forgot. I was so intrigued in the Michigan game. But hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the T&T Podcast. Here with your boy Torres Finney and my co-host Tyler Layfield. What's up, Tyler?
Man, nothing much. You are right. Everybody, all eyes are on this Alabama-Michigan game right now. That's kind of where we're kind of starting things off today with college football, with the way the bowl games have been playing out. But man, what a start for Michigan. But it looks like Alabama's mounting a little bit of a comeback here.
Something don't make sense. How did I don't get it. How does Michigan turn the ball over on downs on third down? That's what it said. That's what it said on my update, ESPN update. That's the only way
I got it pulled up right here, so we're gonna see what it ends up.
I don't know who got the ball, but regardless, yes, we're watching that currently. You know, is it actually what we did do our playoff breakdowns, and we did talk about like a lot of the teams, but we have not recovered. Covered back over the first round. So we're gonna do that little quick snippet of that.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
First game, what was it? It was SMU versus
Penn State.
All right.
You got that one wrong.
Yes, I did. I did get that one wrong. I picked SMU, and SMU actually SMU wasn't playing bad that first half. It just every time they got to the red zone, they turned the ball over. That what they were not. They were actually talking the ball pretty well on Penn State. So I mean, I got the stats behind me to show that.
Oh man. Well, you may be right. Maybe you're right as a team, but Kevin Jennings was playing a lot like we've seen Milroe play today, where he just is kind of playing for the other team. It looked like he just kept on giving the ball to Penn State, like every time you look at the TV.
I know. They only turned the ball over in the red zone. Like,
yeah.
Who turns the ball over 3 times in the red zone? I understand 1 time. And look, I might give you 2, but 3 times in the red zone? Come on.
Yeah.
That means you were moving the ball down the field, and that's gonna deter any team. That's gonna make you feel like, oh man, well, freak. Like, because every time they turn the ball over, Penn State was capitalizing. So you have and that's what I predict. I said SMU was going to have to score because they wasn't going to be able to do it defensively. I didn't think they were going to be able to stop Penn State. I thought for them to beat Penn State, it was going to have to be a high-scoring game, which Penn State put up 38, but you can't keep turning the ball over. Hey, in the red zone, that's 21 points. They lost 38-10. Could have easily been 38-31. You know, you just can't do that. So, but overall, Penn State looked really good, man. Hey, winning a big game. They got another big game tonight, so against Boise State.
I guess you can call it big. You know, these first two, they're big-ish.
You sound like Andrew Collins right now, dude.
Big-ish. What is Andrew saying?
How is not a big game? I just said.
I'm not about to sit here and count SMU and Boise State. I'm not going to say they're not big games, but this doesn't change my attitude towards the way James Franklin shows up to pedigree teams. Like, you know, and I understand people can go back to the Paterno days and they can mention all that and this and that and the other, the national titles they went to then and all this kind of stuff. I just don't see SMU. I mean, we're not talking about SMU from the 60s, 70s. We're not talking about Eric Dickerson, and all them. We're talking SMU's on the come up. And yes, Boise State had a Heisman candidate, but I'm not about to sit here and say that those are 2 great teams. They did make the playoff, and there were arguments, and we can get into that here in just a minute. There were arguments that, hey, really, this is who y'all wanted in the playoff? And the same people that were saying that are down right now by 6. We're down by 16 earlier, in this game that's currently going on right now, saying that they should have been over them. And I think they've been debunked so far as their argument for being in over SMU.
I do agree with you on that because I'm pissing off a lot of Alabama fans already. They already with me Hey, John Hampton, if you're watching this, I know, but he already be getting mad at
Hey,
me.
they're making a comeback against the mighty Michigan Wolverines. They're making a bit of a
Hey, you're
comeback.
right. They're making a comeback
Give them
against one of
credit.
the worst offenses in all of football that can't throw the football to save your life. Congratulations, because they haven't scored a single point since they went up 16-0. But hey, good job, Alabama. But
Yeah.
the problem is that okay, we're gonna sit here and call the playoffs. All right, it's 12
Yeah.
teams. Even though I don't agree with 12, but now it's 12.
It's a
Now
postseason game.
now it's postseason game. Now these
I
games are
agree.
no longer big because of the teams you're playing. I think that's asinine. I think that's crazy because they're in the final eight. You're the final eight best team, regardless of what. Now you look. We know that could be subjective because we got a committee that picks these teams, but yet you are in the final eight. If Penn State wins this game, they're going to be in the final four. Like
Yeah,
I think this
and
is a big
don't
game.
don't get
Win
me
or not.
wrong. I think that the playoff teams that made it deserve to make it. I will tell you that much. I think that they did the right thing with how they ended up playing this out. I do, and I'm not one of those apologists where I'm saying, Boise State shouldn't have been in it, or SMU shouldn't have been in it, and all this kind of stuff, or Indiana shouldn't have been in it. They did what they had to do to be in it. Let's just get that out of the way already because I'm not one of those that's going out. There were plenty of them all throughout the last week because, yes, the first round of this playoffs was largely a blowout fest. And we'll get into the other ones here in just a minute. The only close-ish one was Texas and Clemson. But I'm not going to sit here and say that those teams that lost shouldn't have been in it. And I'm not going to say that they should have been replaced. Go ahead.
And this is what makes me mad because everybody keeps saying, "Oh, well, he will blow out." All right. Well, I'm about to use a whole bunch of things.
Go ahead.
What semifinal game? And I know there was some, and there's only one team that was really a part of both of them. But tell me what semifinal games since 2014 in the college football playoff have been close? Besides Georgia being in it.
Georgia, Ohio
Georgia was only in
State.
two of them.
Yeah, Georgia, Ohio State, Georgia, Oklahoma.
and the Ohio State. The other two games.
Michigan, TCU.
That's the last one. Yep.
Okay, hang on.
That was it. You ain't gonna find another one. Well, take that back. Take that back. You'll find one more. Hello.
Right. Who is that? Who is the third team?
Well, you just called it the third game. There was one more, there was one more game. I forgot about that. It was at the beginning, but they still ran away with it. Was the Ohio State Alabama one? That was when Zeke Elliott broke that big touchdown in the third. That was the last one.
Yeah,
that was the last one. But
yeah, you're kind of right. A lot of them have been blowouts, and that wasn't a 14 playoff, but it looks like I mean, if there's going to be blowouts, most of the time it's going to happen in that first round of these things because, of course, you got more variance. You got these teams that just squeaked in going against teams that were, largely, ready for this. They've set themselves up for this kind of thing. Of course, the outlier being Georgia TCU in the national championship. Because of course that
not really. No.
Well,
because then me and Keeper did this today because they were like, well, the championship's supposed to be the two best teams.
Well, the way that the bracket's made, sometimes it ain't.
Sometimes it's not. And I said, well, let's go back. Let's go back to 2014. And let's look at the close national championship. You had the two Alabama and Clemson one.
Clemson, yeah.
And then you had the two Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah.
That was it. The rest were blowout. So you telling me only four?
Who were some of the other ones?
All right, 2014, you had Oregon, Ohio State. Ohio State won 42-20.
Yeah, 2015,
you had, that's the Bama Clemson. That's when the onside came, I think, 45-41. Then you had the Clemson or Alabama when Deshaun won that one. That's 16. Mm-hmm. 17, you had the Georgia, Alabama. That was the close one. So we had three close ones in a row.
A freaking overtime.
Then you had, that's right, overtime. Then you had 2018 where Clemson blew out Alabama 41-16.
Yeah.
Then you had 2019 when LSU blew out Clemson. Then you had 2020 when Alabama blew out Ohio State. Then you had 2021 when you had Georgia and Alabama that when Georgia finally got theirs. Then you had Georgia, TCU, and then you had Michigan, Washington last year. That was a blowout. So we on like what 5 games out of the past 10 years. So it's basically half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Half and half in national championships have been close and been blowout. And that's just all of sports. They're just like we just watched the NBA Finals where the Celtics swept the Mavericks.
It's true. It happens, although it's not what you expect. Because theoretically, in a perfect world, yes, you should have a close game between two powerhouses at the end. In a perfect world, that's what everybody believes, but that's just not the way it plays out. Sometimes you got weaker conferences or the way the bracket plays out and stuff like that.
For that year, it's not a consistent thing. It's not a thing that said to be, oh, this is what's going to happen every single year. Because I think that's the premise that a lot of people build up off of. They say, well, this is going to happen every year. No. TCU and Georgia in the national championship wasn't going to happen every year. But you telling me that the TCU beating Michigan? Because obviously somebody had to deserve something to beat Michigan. That's
Michigan team that the following year, right? The following year won the national championship.
The national championship with majority of the same players.
Same players, yep.
So what are we doing? What are we doing? That's why
can't discredit it.
Like that. That's why I don't like how people try to use these situations and try to make it out to be
playing football math.
Yeah, commit football math. You can't do it because it's all about math.
We agree with that. Me and you, that's one thing you and I agree on. Looks like Davis Warren, just to update, looks like Davis Warren is out for the Michigan Wolverines. He's limping back to the locker room now. Alex Orji in for them. It looks like he's going to be full-time here. And they didn't turn it over earlier. Michigan did have to punt, and then they got the ball back. But now it's second.
I mean, Michigan probably going to lose this game. But, again, we're seeing this team, well, according to the way SEC homers think about it, and the way they talk, wait a minute. Well, Alabama, they should have made the playoffs. Wait a minute. If you're over here struggling with a 5-5 Michigan, I'm using their logic because I know it's all about matchup. Michigan is a run-heavy team. They're really good in the trenches. They're going to give Alabama defensively problems. But no, nobody likes to look at that. They only look at the record. Oh, 5-5. Oh, look who Michigan lost to. Blah, blah, blah. Because it's about It's about who they play. It's not necessarily. Yes, do they have more talent? Like, does Alabama have more talent? I agree with you. But there's certain matchups that are going to make it harder for other teams, and it's not going to be based off their talent. It's going to be based off their scheme. That's the reason why Kentucky give Georgia problems every year.
Yeah.
People don't get that. It's schematic. It's not always just talent.
You're right.
Win majority of them. But scheme definitely plays a huge factor.
The Jimmys and Joes, not the X's and O's.
There you go.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, just getting back to it. SMU, of course, they got blown out. And I get what you're saying. Penn State, in James Franklin's history, that was a big game for him. So I'll give you that much. But to me, I don't know. I have to see a higher caliber kind of competition for me to kind of count him. You know what I'm saying? Because in those real big games, like Ohio State, like those kinds of games, I just haven't really seen it there with him. Yeah. But, then we had, who did we have after that? It was, really the first game was Indiana Notre Dame, and that was a blowout. And we'll talk about, Notre Dame coming up here in a little bit, how we feel about tomorrow, that kind of thing. But I don't know. A lot of people like to give Notre Dame a ton of credit. And if you look at the statistics, yeah, it did look pretty good, but those statistics were kind of skewed as well. I think I sent something in our group chat where I'd seen something on Twitter. A lot of the yards per carry and the offensive stats were really skewed. Like if you take out that 98-yard touchdown run for Jeremiah Love, that offense doesn't look so good. Okay, I think at the first half he had 104 yards rushing, and 98 of them came off of one rush. That's not great. That's not great. But I mean, of course, they ended up winning. They ended up pulling it out. They ended up blowing them out. So it is what it is. Then you had Texas Clemson, the closest one of the bunch. A little back and forth affair there for a little bit. Clemson looked like they were going to give them some trouble, and really what ended up kind of getting them is they could not stop Texas's run, and Texas's defense made some plays when they needed to. So
that's right. Look, and that's where we'll get to it. We'll get to that game. Yeah,
we will. And then lastly, and then this one was, I don't know, I had a pretty good time watching this one. I had a pretty good, because you and I both, we weren't buying the Tennessee hype, and it's nothing. And don't get me wrong, I got family out there, big Tennessee fans. My uncle, he'll comment on our stuff from time to time. Uncle Keith, he went out. He went to the game. He went out there in that weather, paid the money for the seats and all that. I'm sure you know probably some people because you're from the Tennessee area. they went up. They showed out. Fans showed up and they showed out. And it's sad because the team did not. And really, for and don't get me wrong, when you haven't made it to a postseason game before, like Tennessee has, yes, this is the way you should respond. You should want to get behind them, travel to the game. They bought up a bunch of seats. Like, that was really cool. But then you start seeing the kind of I don't know how you really describe this, but the guys going out without shirts, doing their stretches and trying to do something. Trying to prove the cold couldn't do anything. That cold, that weather did play a factor there, my man.
Huge factor.
That weather played a factor.
Now look, I will say Knoxville is cold. Don't get me wrong. It's cold in Knoxville.
Yeah.
When people always be like, now how Knoxville, they ain't gonna be able to scare Tennessee. Tennessee play up near the mountains. Yeah, no, I agree. It's cold. It's cold in Knoxville.
It's cold up there.
But
it's a different cold though.
It's a different cold up in Ohio, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, again, I don't care what Tennessee did in the SEC. Ohio State has a $20 million roster.
We talked about it.
In my opinion, they have the best roster in all of college.
On paper, they're pretty fire.
On paper, for sure. So, if this team just played even to an ounce of its caliber, I didn't think Tennessee had a chance. I have watched more Tennessee football than I have cared to watch this year in my life because it be on TV. Sadly, I just watch it and turn it on. Now granted, when Georgia's on, flipping that mess off. But I watch all other games. But I watch a good bit of Tennessee games.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped watching Tennessee after Georgia beat them. And let me tell you why. Out of all the games that I've watched, when I watched them play Oklahoma, when Oklahoma didn't have absolute no chance of
that was an ugly win.
An ugly win. When I saw that, and then when I saw how they played against, again, Alabama, Georgia, when I saw the Arkansas game, I was like, Tennessee ain't that great. All they can do is run the football. They can't throw to save their life. I was like, they ain't better pass on Ohio State because Ohio State is really good in the trenches. And I know people tried to utilize, Michigan. It ain't the same because they're bro. Again, how many times, Tyler, have we seen Alabama go 12-0, but struggle with a 3-win Auburn team going overtime?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen
weird stuff happens in the rivalries? Weird stuff happens.
We see it with Georgia Tech this year. Heck, that ain't the first time they've had close games other years. We've seen that because the emotions are high. Those teams play that game, especially the losing teams, especially teams like the Auburns, like the Michigans.
When you got nothing else to lose. Yeah, like Michigan knew they weren't making the college football playoff, but this game was their Super Bowl. They came out for that game ready to play. This was big for them. That was a huge game for them.
To me, I compare it to how I feel as a Steelers fan when we play the Ravens. We can go 2-15, but if them two wins against the Ravens, we did. You get another year, coach. But that's how it is in Michigan. If they can only win one game. When they beat Ohio State for that one game, coach gets another 2 more years. That's just how it is. So I was never going to utilize that game as a reason why they weren't going to be able to go out there and compete against Tennessee. Now, personally, I predicted, I think around 23-10, 26-10. I thought they were going to keep it low scoring. It's going to be a little defensive game. Man, that Ohio State team went up 21-0 in the first. Them boys.
Yeah, offense was good. Jeremiah Smith. Who was the other? They had another wide receiver going off. Was it Ibuka or something like that?
I'm going to look him up.
May have been Ibuka. Ibuka was going off. They just, the receivers were just killing them. Then they started getting the run game going. Defense was stopping them. And, it's funny you mentioned, they can't throw the ball, talking about Tennessee. And, he has shown some times where he's looked pretty good. But Nico Iamaleava, for all the hype we heard about this young man coming out of high school, all the money that they paid for him,
all the money. I remember.
And right now, I don't know if you've been hearing this, Torres, because I know you're around some Tennessee fans, but there's some rumors going around that Nico's thinking about portaling. He's considering entering the portal. He posted a cryptic thing on Instagram where it was like him facing Georgia, and he put like a smirking face. It's the same thing that I think it's the same thing Squirrel White did before he entered the transfer portal from Tennessee, one of their wide receivers. But they're now saying that Nico is demanding, he's like, we need to get a better offensive line. I need to see improvements quick with wide receivers. And now the wide receiver, the former 5-star wide receiver from USC that's in the portal, Zachariah Branch, him and his brother are in the portal. Georgia's in on him, and Arizona State. And for a while, it was just those two teams. Now it's coming out that Tennessee is entering in this. They're trying to fight for a visit. They're wanting to get in on it. And one thing about Tennessee, they are not afraid to spend, my man. They're not like Georgia. They want to spend, and they have spent on Nico. I think it was $2 million coming out of high school. They gave him, and they have spent on this year's tackle that they got. 5-star tackle is going to be great. David Sanders, he's awesome. That kid's a freaking animal. But they spent on him like it's millions. It's millions that this kid's getting. Wow. They're going to spend up for that, and you're going to see some transfer stuff coming. If they don't land it, then I don't know what we're going to see with Nico, but you're losing Dylan Sampson, great running back. He's entering the draft. If that passing game don't improve and you're taking a step back as a run, in the run game, I don't know, man. Things might get ugly quick.
It might get ugly. You're right. And, look, I like the coach at Tennessee. He's actually, what's his name right now? I can't think of his name. Josh Heupel. That's right. He's actually been doing a really good job at Tennessee. I'm actually I like what he does for them. I really do. I mean, look, he got these teams to 10-2. I mean, heck, everybody lost to a team they shouldn't have lost to this year, really, when you think about it. But he got that team to 10-2. Got them to the playoffs. Heck, they beat Alabama 2 years ago as well. Look, Tennessee been doing their thing since under this era. So I'm not.
They've gotten better.
They have gotten better, and they actually usually they are a really good offense. I mean, when they had
Milton and Hooker.
There you go, Hendon Hooker.
Hooker for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Hooker had them boys on fire. But he's definitely a good offensive guru, and yeah, I think Tennessee's gonna have a lot of good things coming up in the next future. I think it's only gonna get harder. I mean, heck, I don't think it's gonna get any easier. Especially like looking at it from a Georgia perspective. I don't think Tennessee is one of those games where we used to look on the schedule you wouldn't blink an eye at. I definitely think they're going to be one of those teams you got to start to. It's going to be a tough one.
So we'll see about that. Now, moving on to the next round. The next round starts today. Boise State, Penn State. And originally you had SMU going against Boise State, and I think you picked. Who'd you pick on that one?
I picked Boise. I said Boise would have won that.
Boise.
It played.
Yeah.
But I did make a pick if Penn State did play.
And what'd you pick?
And I picked Penn State in that one.
Penn State. So, yeah, we both had that. So we'll see how that one plays out. Tomorrow you got – who's the early game? I think it's Arizona State and Texas. If you recall, I picked Arizona State in that one. We'll see how that plays out. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes the opposite way.
No. Nobody would be. I mean, I think everybody knows Texas is the favorite. I think they're 2-touchdown favorites. But
it's crazy.
I'm going to tell you this. Me and Andrew was arguing this. Andrew was arguing the fact that Arizona State hasn't played nobody schedule-wise. I was like, yes, but Texas, in all honesty, they haven't either. And again,
they played Georgia and they lost twice.
And yes, was those games close? Yes, they were. I'm not. But see, this is the thing that I think a lot of us make a mistake on. It's not like I'm holding Georgia in like the highest of limelight. Like, I'm not saying we're head and shoulders.
This has not been the best Georgia team.
It's not. So to say, well, they had tight games with Georgia, well, yeah, get in line because who has?
Yeah, I'm about to say, everybody has.
Like, I can't hold that from Kuwait because what I'm looking at is Texas did not look good against Arkansas. Texas did not look that great overall throughout the entire season. They didn't look that great against Texas A&M. Heck, there was time. Like, I have watched a good bit of Texas games. Texas will find a way to put themselves. They put themselves in like good positions, but they don't capitalize. Like they settle. Like they'll move the ball up and down the field, but you would think a team like Texas would sometimes put up more points. I know what they did against Clemson, and I don't think Arizona State has a team like team like Clemson. I'm not going to say that, but it was just like the way it was going back and forth, like throughout the season. Texas would get in the red zone like against Texas A&M, not score, turn the ball over, stupid plays, stupid penalties. And this been going on throughout the season. So when people was like, man, Texas should have beat Georgia, they were that close. All they had to do this was that. Well, that's how majority of the season been going. They just been able to capitalize because they've been having better talent than these other teams. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Arizona State, especially offensively, can put up some points on this Texas defense. I don't think I know they're rated number one in the SEC defensively, but I don't think that's a true number one defense in my opinion. This is my opinion. I know Texas has a great defense. Don't get me wrong. It is a really, really good defense. But I don't think it's the number one defense in the SEC. I do not.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now because one thing about Clemson that they could not do against Texas, they could not run the ball. Like Phil Maffa was a non-factor. They were able to pass the ball, and I'm looking at it now just to see how Klubnik ran the ball. Klubnik didn't really run it much. He ran it 13 times. He only had 5 yards, so they were able to stop pretty much everything in the run game. So we'll have to see because one of the big parts of that offense for Arizona State is Cam Scatterbo. Great running back. He's been having a great season. I don't know if you watched the Big 12 championship game, but that big old white boy bowling ball. Like this guy, like he's fast, but this dude does not go down easy. Like he's a really good running back, honestly. So that's going to be a big factor. Can they get him going? It's going to be tough because obviously it's a little bit of a talent deficit when you look at Texas's defensive line going against Arizona State's offensive line. There's going to be there's some ratings there that don't really match up. Of course, coming from recruiting and whatnot. So that's a big thing we got to watch. But one thing that Clemson was able to do, they were able to pass the ball pretty well against Texas. Yeah. So can Arizona State do that without their best wide receiver? Because he's going to be out for this game. He's out I think he's out for the remainder of the year. But so that part sucks. But we're gonna have to see how that one plays out. I could see it going. I could see like I picked. I could see Arizona State winning it. But in all reality, I would not be shocked at all if Texas tore them up. It's one of those things.
But I don't see. See, this is where we just start again. We get into more of like the schematics part. Clemson offensively is really good. Let me take it back really good. They're good at times. All right, Clemson offense is good at times. It really is. But Arizona State, granted, the defense they've been playing has shown they've been really good.
Mm-hmm. They play hard. They play tough.
They do play hard.
I think they'll have it's similar to when Georgia played Georgia Tech. There's one team that really came out on fire and one team that kind of came in sleepwalking. And I could see Arizona State. I really do believe in the energy levels that they bring to this game. And I know that's something you can't really quantify. You can't put it in numbers. You can't prove it. But I really do see them coming out hot, like ready to play. Like Dillingham's going to have them ready, man. Like he's going to have them ready to go out there and run through a brick wall for them. And I do see them coming out playing really, really, really hard. And I could see Texas coming in this one just kind of chilling a little bit. Okay, this is just Arizona State. We can kind of take advantage here.
See, this is my problem with that. It's hard for me. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I'm not saying you're wrong because personally, I can attest that I did that one time in a. You would think like, oh man, you're in the playoffs. You should never be thinking like that. But I was in the semifinals wrestling, my first state title run. I had pinned the guy at sectionals the week before. Pinned him in the first. It was easy. He was not nowhere close to me. He lucked up and made the semifinals because the 1 seed on his side, we would tell you about he was 3 seed. The 3 seed on his side that he would have to face to get to the semifinals broke his ankle. Oof. So he got lucky, and I'm like, oh man, I'm about to go to the state championship. I was like, this guy has no chance against me. I go in there with that mindset. This guy has no chance. Mm-hmm. And he turns me on my back and almost pins me. And the only thing that saved me was the clock runs out. So I'm like, okay, for the first period. So I gathered my gears together and put it on in the second period and pinned them. But I'm saying that to say that is a real thing what Tom is mentioning. That is not they're in the playoffs. They're going to always play hard. Everybody no.
It don't happen all the time.
It don't happen all the time. They see Arizona State. It'll be different they saw Georgia. It'll be different they saw Ohio State, Oregon. But this is Arizona State. And they know. Same way like
I think there is going to be some irrational confidence. Like some real this isn't that big of a team. I could definitely see that. And then also the fact of this team's been to the college football playoff. They're like, okay, we've done this before. We made it. We made it to the national championship, or no, they didn't make it, did they?
They lost to Washington.
They lost to Washington. It was like at the end of it, but we've been here before. We kind of done this. Obviously, this is a different team. I don't think they're as good as last year, in my opinion. I know some people like to, go back on that. In my opinion, this Texas team is not as good as it was last year. That's just me. But yeah, I could definitely see it going either way. Then you get the 5 o'clock game, Ohio State, Oregon, in the rematch. If you recall, earlier in the season, these two teams played each other in Eugene, went down to the final second. Will Howard ends up making a boneheaded play where the clock runs out, and they end up losing the game. So how do you see this one playing out this go around?
This time, I see, as I said before here.
Yeah, I think you picked Ohio State last time.
It is hard to beat a good team twice. And this is not only a good team, this is a great team. I know a lot of people have come up with these things about Ohio State, especially how they played against Michigan. That Michigan loss is determined. It's like it determines so many people on their outlook on Ohio State. They say, man, they lost to Michigan. They're awful. They're not that good. No, like that's not how I look at it. Like, because I take things game to game. Like, it's funny how we compare these guys, to maybe sometimes high school, even sometimes the pro. It's like when an NFL team, they lose to the worst team in the league, but they still have a winning record and they go into the playoff, they do their thing.
Yeah.
That's an off game. You telling me when you play about 14 games in a season, or 13, however many, and you're not going to have one off game? Yes. Oregon went undefeated. I think we become so...
They had off games too, though. They didn't lose them, but they had off games.
That's what I'm getting to. They had a lot of off games. They had more off... Idaho, if you want to claim Boise, they had an off game against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They didn't play that great against Minnesota overall. Like, there were some games. Heck, they didn't play overall that great early on against Michigan until that second half they started turning things on. It's not like Oregon is head and shoulders above everybody. So I don't know why this thing where Oregon is automatic going to the national championship. I'm not that sold on that. Oregon has a great team. They have Gabriel, one of the most efficient quarterbacks throughout the year.
Good wide receivers, good offensive line, good defensive line, good linebackers. I like this squad a lot. And
Me too.
When we picked the game originally, I did go with Oregon. I'm going to stick with it, man. And this isn't any disrespect to Ohio State. Obviously, I gave Ohio State respect when I picked them against Tennessee, and I'm not saying that I really think this one, out of all of the second round matchups, I think this is going to be our close one. This is really going to be entertaining. I mean, we saw how it went the first time. I think we're going to see a very similar play out in this game as we did the first time. I think this is going to be a close game, but I really just believe that much in Dan Lanning. I really do. And to me, this comes down to coaching. Both teams have great players. Both teams have immense talent. You could sit here and name all of the names that you could go through it. There are so many brand names, like the college football names, that we could just, they're their household, right? But to me, it comes down to coaching. And when it comes down to Ryan Day versus Dan Lanning, who are you going to ride with, man? Who are you going to ride with? Are you going to ride with Ryan Day? You know what I'm saying? And nothing against Ryan Day. Ryan Day, he has been a good coach at times, but we've seen him slip. We've also seen Dan Lanning slip a couple of times too now, so I'm not going to let him get off scot-free. But Dan Lanning, there's just something about the guy, coming from that Kirby, being with Kirby, right. I really, there's just something about it. He's got that pedigree. He's won national championships. We've seen him win national championships with Georgia. Mm-hmm. Ryan Day, I don't know. Ryan Day was with Urban Meyer, right, when he won them, correct? Maybe, or I think he was OC. I'll look that up here in a second, or if you're looking it up. But
I'm looking it up.
If I'm gonna hang my hat on one guy, it's gonna be Lanning here. I really do believe in the dude. I think he's gonna have this team ready to play, and there's really not much for me to go against with him. There's really not many cons I can kind of bring up with Dan Lanning. I think he's done his research. I think he knows what he's ready to do. He's just as fired up this time as he was last time, in my opinion, and I think he's going to be ready. I think he's, just like you talked about, but Coach Rogers was at Jones County, and y'all, he had stayed up, memorizing the hand signals for the plays for that team. That, and that's what the greats do. That's really, that's the kind of attention in anything in life. I was talking to somebody about in anything in life. If you really are that dedicated to something, you're going to pay attention to the finest of details. And I think that, and not to say Ryan Day don't, but if I'm picking between the two of who I think does it, Lanning just gives those vibes, bro. Lanning just gives those vibes like he's going to do everything he can to have every edge that he possibly can for that game, and I think he's going to have it.
You know what? And I'm going to give some credit to Dan Lanning. I mean, look, I'm going to say this. I do agree with you. Dan Lanning, overall as a coach, I mean, the man has been playing, he has had Oregon looking really, really good since his tenure there. He's been there since 2022. First year they went 10-3. Last year they went 12-2. This year they are now 13-0. You are seeing an improvement by his squad every single year. Oregon is a really good team, and no, Ryan Day was not with Urban Meyer. Actually, Ryan Day has never won the national championship.
Yeah, so that's kind of that has to, and I understand you can't put everything in on that, but there's something to say about kind of at least being on a staff for a national championship, or a national champion. I don't know, or at least being there. They've been there. They've seen the atmosphere. They know the environment. They know what things to go through, all that kind of stuff. I think there's something to say about that, playing on that level of a team, those level of games.
All right, so let me see. This is my problem, man.
Because a lot of people could sit here and look at this game, and don't get me wrong, it's a lot like a couple years ago. A lot of people could sit here and look at this game and be like, "This is the national championship." Yeah, I really think that's how a lot of people are going to look at this, and we'll see. Because I mean, honestly, we don't precisely know anything about Georgia just yet with this new quarterback. I mean, I have some ideas of what we're going to see, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But this is going to be a different offense. Oregon, Ohio State, they're going to be who we've seen, pretty much all year. Yeah, they're going to throw a couple different things at each other this time around, but we know what we're getting. And these are two of the top teams. There's no doubt about it, and two of the top rosters. So.
Well, I'm going to say this. So this is my other thing with Ryan Day. It's like we get on him so much, but yet the man has been winning. Now, I know everybody, but I agree with you, Tom.
And by no means do I hate the guy. It's just it's hard for me to kind of throw my loyalty with him, throw my trust in him. That's just me.
I get behind you because I remember a few years ago, we were doing the show, and you were like, I don't no longer want to get this. I want to finally win it. If you said this, you say if we was a new team, I'll be okay with that. But when we're a pedigree team, there's only so many times of you saying you got me there. And I think that's the problem with Ryan Day. Ryan Day is a winner. He wins football games. Don't get me wrong. The man is a winner, and he gets your team. Ohio State's been successful. You give this to any other program that don't win. They're licking their chops left and right.
Yeah.
But it's because of their pedigree. It's because they ain't won the Natty yet. They've been plays away from winning the Natty. They've been right there, losing to Michigan, losing to teams that they shouldn't lose to. Like, those type of things hurts the pedigree of Ryan Day. When in reality, his career record is 67-10. And
it's pretty doggone good.
Football playoff games. He's won 2.
Yeah.
So he's been there. It's just the fact. He was one field goal away from going to, because they would have destroyed TCU just as much as we did.
Just like we did.
They would have, he was a field goal away from winning the Natty, personally. So he's right there, and I think people get mad because, he's had the teams. He's had the players. Marvin Harrison, C.J. Stroud, you name them, he had them. But guess what? Justin Fields. But that still doesn't negate because I think Ohio State, in my personal opinion, have always been this good and have always should have been right there on the verge of winning, even with Urban Meyer. Like when they won in 2014, there was other years I felt like they should have potentially went on winning the national championship, but Clemson would blow them out. So I definitely think Ryan Day, in my personal opinion, has a little bit of the edge because, again, he's not playing. This is not if I lose, I mean, we'll have next year. I turn over next year. No, Tyler.
No talent on that.
I think this is a job-saving game. He has to win. There's a difference. This is a must-win.
Back against the wall, between a rock and a hard place. What you gonna do?
A hard place. He has to win. If he don't make the Natty, he ain't gotta win it. He gotta make it. If he don't make the Natty, I don't think we see him
Yeah,
as
if
the
he
head
if
coach.
he makes the Natty, it's gonna be hard to get rid of the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that makes it real hard.
Mm-hmm.
But
He
yeah,
has
no,
to
you're
make it.
right.
He has to
You're
make it.
right. We'll see. Yeah, he's not safe by any means.
No, he's not.
Then you get to Notre Dame, Georgia. The I think Notre Dame originally came out as the favorites. Then it kind of switched over to Georgia. Now Georgia's been bet down to a 1 point favorite.
Yeah.
Obviously, and I've been not obviously, but I've been seeing a lot on social media from the talking heads that be of how Notre Dame is going to win this game. There, I know Georgia's favored, but there is a very much so. Like Tennessee was being talked about a lot for beating Ohio State. I'm seeing a lot of Notre Dame being talked about as they're going to beat Georgia and how they're going to do it and this and that. And the things are obviously defensively they're pretty stout. They did lose a big defensive line piece. Their sack leader, so that hurts them in a way. Obviously Marcus Freeman, good defensive mind. But the other part is Riley Leonard. I'm hearing a lot about how Riley Leonard, Georgia struggles against mobile quarterbacks. How Riley Leonard can run on them, that kind of thing. We'll see about that. But how I feel about this game, I'm not feeling bad at all. And, we've even heard it from Kobe. Kobe said he feels pretty good about Notre Dame. I think even Jackson was saying it. I just think there's a lot of sentiment out there that Notre Dame will actually beat Georgia. And I'm perfectly fine with that. We've been here before, Torres, where we've been doubted, where there's been this this sentiment that Georgia just isn't going to win this game. They're not built for this. Of course, the way the season's gone, they've struggled quite a bit. We do know they struggle with mobile quarterbacks, but to me, there are different types of mobile quarterbacks, and the one that we struggle with is like a freaking quarterback that's like a running back. They're that like real quick. Real quick, they can throw the ball. Obviously, we've seen it with Milrow. Who's some others? Yes, we did struggle a little bit with C.J. Stroud, but he was just using it. Yeah, Hurts. Tua ran it here and there.
More in college than he does in pro.
He needs to. Yeah, he don't need to be running anymore. But man, yeah, there's all this. This history of us with mobile quarterbacks. Now we have faced quarterbacks like Riley Leonard where it's more of a lumbering, I'll lower my shoulder on you, get the extra yard kind of thing. And we saw this with Haynes King. Haynes King actually kind of tore us up, but he paid for it a lot. And I think there's gonna be dude, I'm feeling so good defensively. Like I feel this team they're going to be healthy for the first time in a while. We get Christian Miller back, Jordan Hall's back healthy. Xavier McLeod really impressed me against Texas, stopping the run. We're getting a lot of guys back healthy. Everybody's healing up. Rehab's been going pretty well. They've been practicing a lot of light stuff. But I really feel like we got the physicality on defense. We got the dudes on defense to give them problems. And if he wants to run it, like we're being talked about, like he's being talked about, like if he wants to run it like that, he's gonna pay. I really think by the end of this game, dude's gonna be limping. Like it's gonna be like that. Like we can pop with the best of them, and I think it's gonna happen. Offensively, obviously there is a little bit of a question mark with the team, but if you look at it, when Gunnar Stockton came in the second half of that SEC championship game, the offense was still being called like it was with Beck. Like there really wasn't much different. Like of course the only difference being that Gunnar was willing when he needed to tuck and run, but those weren't really designed QB runs in my opinion. I think for the most part, a lot of them were scrambles. He was just improvising on the spot. We've had weeks now to get this guy ready. He had 18 minutes to get him ready at halftime.
Exactly.
Now you give the guy a week plus, like 2 weeks plus to get him ready. I think we're going to be seeing designed QB runs. I think we're going to be seeing RPOs. We're going to be seeing a lot of play action, a lot of read options. We're going to be seeing different stuff mixed in. Like at least 10 rushes from Gunnar. I think we're going to see where we get him loose and going. We're going to be running the ball. Dude, having ETN and Frazier back and healthy, ETN playing with a freaking bulletproof vest on in the Texas in the SEC championship game because his ribs are cracked, freaking running all over him. Yep. Dude, ETN makes a world of difference. Frazier getting back healthy is going to make a big difference. And then here's the other thing that people are really discounting. Our offensive line, for as hyped as they were to begin this season, before the season, remember I was talking every year. I really do like our offensive line. I think we've done a great job of just stacking up depth, having these big athletic guys. Not only to protect but to establish the run. Think about this: the way we've been playing all season. Have we been a run first or pass first type of team, Torres?
Uh, I want to say pass first.
It's pass first. That's the answer. It's been pass first. We've been passing it way more because we have failed to really establish the run.
We try to run. We try.
We tried, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work. Now there's a difference, and I'm not a big offensive line. I was never an offensive lineman, but maybe you can kind of tell me if this is true or not. But I think there's a big difference between going into a game knowing that you're going to pass block a lot, as opposed to knowing I'm about to be moving forward, going and road grading this whole game. I think we're going to see these guys being the aggressors instead of being the ones that are having to, react. And I think we got the dudes to do it. I really do. I think we got the dudes to establish the run. I feel good about us, man. I'm willing to take us by at least a touchdown in this game. I feel really good about the matchup, and there's not much more for me to say. Of course, I think we got the coaching. We got the coaching advantage. I feel like we got the physicality advantage, regardless of how they feel. I mean, I know they feel like they got the guys. I know how our dudes play when it really matters. We've seen that multiple times, and if we get punched in the mouth, I know that we can fight back. I know that there's going to be a response from this team. If they get punched in the mouth, I don't know.
We don't know.
I can't really tell you. I can't really tell you.
We don't know.
I mean, the only time we've really seen it was against Northern Illinois, and we saw that happen.
They also beat Texas A&M. Let's not take away some.
They did. They
beat some good teams too.
Wasn't necessarily with Marcel Reed, right? That was like first game of the season, correct?
That was with Connor
Weigman, who's gone. Yeah, and A&M, I think A&M did a lot of stuff in that game defensively that we can learn from, and they actually held that offense pretty well. So I think we're going to be, if A&M can do that, I think we can.
And that's the thing with me right now with Georgia. Back to the Stockton play. Yes, you're right. 18 minutes to prepare to come in. Now this man has had nearly 3 weeks to prepare. And they said Georgia was already preparing for Notre Dame because they knew they were going to play. Everybody knew they was going to play Notre Dame. Like, come on. So we knew what was coming. I just think Georgia, personally, this is going to be one of their harder games of the season. And I know people might call me crazy, but I definitely think we don't know what to expect yet. But I will say this, though. I will say this. Georgia, right now, with Mike Bobo, when have we ever seen Mike Bobo have to deal with a versatile quarterback like Gunnar Stockton? Because as of right now, I don't think I've ever seen him have a quarterback like that under his wing.
Closest thing to it would be like Aaron Murray. He did design a lot of stuff for him to get out of the pocket. He didn't really scramble per se. I mean, he did some, but there was a lot of stuff to get him out of the pocket and moving and not just sitting still. So I mean,
that's more for play action. It was because Murray could get out, but Murray wasn't using his legs. I'm talking about more of a guy because the last one he had was Stetson Bennett, and
a football player. Like and Gunnar, he can run it, but by no means is he like. He's more like a Riley Leonard than he is a Jalen Milroe. It's similar play styles. He's not afraid to take the contact on, lower the shoulder, and drive through you. He's a football player. But Gunnar, when he runs, it's a football player run. It's not just I'm going to finesse you, I'm going to juke you out kind of thing. And we'll see how it works with it. But I do think we're going to see some stuff from him.
And I think also with Notre Dame getting the stuff that they're getting, you already know. You better not give bulletin board material.
Some yummy rat poison.
Oh, Kirby love it, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of rat poison right now.
Kirby, he'll make a team like, come on now. When we play at TCU, he made it feel like Jordan didn't even have a chance. Shouldn't even supposed to be on the field with TCU. That's the way he had that locker room feeling.
Yeah.
And he had the boys fired up, boy.
Yeah.
And he gets me fired up. I wish I could have Kirby come talk to me before a fight.
For real.
Like it would just be real. Oh, I'm about to go kill this guy. Like Kirby, oh my gosh, I love Kirby Smart so much. Like he's exactly what I embody as like a football of any type of really coaching. Like I like that hard nosed, in your face, grinding type of coach, man.
Yeah.
That's the type of coach I like. So I definitely think we'll have those guys ready to play. Notre Dame is no slouch, though. Look.
No, no,
We've
no.
been saying it on this show.
I'm not going to totally go out there and discredit them, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and hype them up either. I'm not going to gas this team up.
I mean, we've been saying this on the show throughout the entire season that Marcus Freeman has been doing a really, really great job there at Notre Dame, getting these boys to be able to play. And this is going to be another one. You know, this is going to be a tall task for him. But I said, look, man, we're going to New Orleans. If anything, we're going to have that place rocking with some dog fans. So I think this is really big. And the beautiful thing about this for Georgia is they're going to take every single game respectively. They're not going to look at there ain't going to be no looking past. It ain't going to be similar to like the Texas Arizona State. And I personally don't think Penn State is doing that with Boise because, for one, I feel like the same thing you said about Arizona State against Texas, the same thing Boise State is going to feel about Penn State, where they're going to just come in fired up. I really do believe Penn State's going to come in fired up.
And, you know, maybe it's similar to Georgia, too, where they kind of probably had a really good feeling that Penn State was going to be who they faced, you know, and they've been working on that, too. So I'm interested to see how Boise State does because, you know, Boise State, obviously, they had that little history back in the Tostitos Bowl going against Adrian Peterson and the Oklahoma Sooners of pulling out the overtime win. They're no strangers to being underdogs, but, you know, being able to pull some out. So we'll see how that plays out. That will be fun. I'm ready to see that tonight for sure. But, yeah, man, that's college football right now. Other bowl games we can bring up. Man, BYU really put it to Colorado. I know Colorado's a team that you have really, been on this year. That one, rough game for Dion in Colorado. Do you think that they were really, honestly, playing hard that game, Torres, or not really? Because, I mean, Shadur came out with the New York Giants cleats. I don't know if you saw that. Like, stuff like that. Why? Why, dude? Why? Like, that shows that your mindset isn't even on this game right now, man.
See, my thing with that is, like, I've never been a guy that want to be the one to, like, let me give my opponent something even extra. You can already be hated. Like, I don't, like, anybody, like, knew me, especially in the wrestling scene, my senior year. So, for some reason, I don't know why people even think that, but I was never cocky. I'm not a cocky guy. But there used to be a thing going around Georgia that the 195 from Jones County is cocky. So,
what?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not cocky, but I was undefeated. And
you were confident.
I was confident for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like anybody I'm going against. I was very confident. But the problem is imagine if I go out there acting all crazy, trying to style out on my opponent. It's going to cause more hate. And heck, it's probably going to cause other people to have more enticing to want to beat me and destroy me.
Oh, yeah, BYU definitely wanted to knock his head off. They wanted to beat them.
And, like, I love Dion. I love what they're doing. But you don't want to give them extra stuff. Like, you don't want to give nobody extra bulletin board material. Mm-hmm. Because you remember when Dan Lanning blew out Colorado last year?
Yeah, the clicks. They're playing for clicks.
Playing for clicks? Hey, yeah, these guys can come out here and try to beat your head in the dirt. Like, they don't
for
like
real.
you. Like, they don't like you. So, and I have no problem with that because I'm a both sides type of guy. Like, hey, I'm all about results on the field. If you go out here and you whoop my tail and you're styling all up on me, well, man, I got to get better so you couldn't style up on me. So BYU came out here and guess what? They shut down Colorado. So it can go both ways. Travis Hunter, he did his thing. You know, I don't think it's any indicative that he shouldn't have won Heisman. You know, still he was Heisman.
There's a lot of hate out there right now. There are a lot of people thinking Genty should have. Yeah, I've seen that. And you know, I think you can make a great case for either one. I'm not mad either way. I think both has a really good case for being Heisman, so I'm not gonna go crazy on that. Some other games, Miami. How about Miami? How about Cam Ward only playing a half?
Right, I saw that. So what's your thoughts?
How about that?
What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not. I mean, why even play at all if you're only going to play a half? I just, you know what I'm saying? Either you're all in or you're all out, in my opinion. I think the lukewarm stuff, you know, we can quote the Bible here. But you know what I'm saying? You know, we can. But I honestly, if I'm his teammate, I'd rather you either play the whole game or don't play at all kind of thing. I mean, if you're that worried about the NFL, why'd you even play a half? You know, that's just me. And he's already, you know, there's already stuff out there about his attitude and things like that people should be. I mean, if we're gonna freaking bump Jalen Carter down in the draft because of some kind of locker room thing, Cam Ward. There's videos of him out there with like Shadur at like a QB camp talking crap and stuff and being a butthole. And you know, now we're seeing stuff like this. To me, that's a little bit of a red flag in a sense as well. I don't really care for that kind of thing. What about you?
I don't care for that type of stuff as well. Like, yeah, I understand you want to go out there and break a record because it is a historical thing, you know. Very, very historical, you know, to go out here and, you know, have the most touchdowns of all time in college history. That's historical.
Yeah.
If you're going to do the job, do it all the way.
Do it all the way.
Defense. Don't be, you know, oh, I'm going to just do it just a touch and then get out. No. You either all in or you all out. That team
For real.
1 point. No doubt in my mind, you could easily draw that team down the field to win the game.
They could have, and they didn't. Another big upset to me, in my opinion, Navy beating Oklahoma 21-20. That was kind of wild, especially Oklahoma being up 14-0 at one point. Vanderbilt beating Georgia Tech. There was a lot of I kept up with Jackson's updates throughout the day. There was a lot of complaining about the refs. Who would have thought with Georgia Tech, right? Complaining about the refs? Man, I'm shocked. But yeah, we had that. USC beating A&M. That seemed like a good game. I watched a good bit of that. That was a really late game though. That one probably didn't end until early in the morning. Arkansas with Texas Tech. Syracuse still chugging along, doing their thing. I love Syracuse. I love Fran Brown.
Me too, man. I love
Fran Brown's he's the freaking man. That Joker, like, I would get behind him any day of the week. I love the way he coaches and the stuff he says and things like that. He's pretty cool. But those are kind of some of the highlights with that. Now, I know we're coming short on time, so want to get into NFL games this week?
Let's do it.
Okay, so with the NFL games, there's implications here. So I'm trying to pull up where week 17, or it's week 18, right? Week 18 implications. Let's see if anything pops up. Because I know, go ahead and start with your Steelers while I pull this up. Your Steelers, what are the implications with the game this week that they're going to be playing? They're playing the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're playing the Bengals. We all know right now the Bengals obviously have to get a chance at the playoffs. But they also need the Broncos to lose. Pittsburgh is personally playing for playoff seed. Right now, if I'm Pittsburgh, I would continue to try to win. Because I would rather go and play Houston than to rather have to go on the road to potentially play Baltimore, or even have to go on the road and play Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather go on the road and play Houston than to go on the road and play those two teams. Because right now I feel like those two teams are inevitably going to the second round, personally. I don't see nobody really beating Baltimore or Buffalo right now in the first round. So, and if it happens, then you're just making it easier for the Chiefs, in my opinion. So, but I definitely see both of those teams going. And if Pittsburgh was to go, you just take your chances on the number one seed. Just hope they had too much time off, by beating Houston. But Cincinnati got to win, and not only does Cincinnati have to win, then they got to hope for Denver to have to beat Kansas City, which is very possible because Denver is a really good team.
Yeah, and Kansas City, like you said, is resting some players. You told me that before the show started. Now, I brought up before the show that if you're Kansas City, wouldn't you want to beat Denver to keep Cincinnati out of the playoffs? Because to me, Cincinnati, they look like a hot team. Like I just don't want to go against Joe Burrow when it matters, in my opinion. After what we just saw on primetime television, where I'm going against him in fantasy. I'm going to get out, dude. After this, I actually got to tell you about how fantasy went, man. Oh my God, you're looking at a champ. I don't want to know my 3 big leagues, my man. So I'm feeling good. But what were you gonna say?
No, I'm about to say Tyler and our T&T podcast. You man put up how many points you put up, bro?
200 something. It was a lot. I did the same thing in my Jones County league. I have to tell you about that. They're upset. They're upset. That's 5 in 10 years I done won in that league. So yeah, Daddy's home. Daddy's home, boys.
Definitely home. Oh my gosh! But hey, Tyler has won in both leagues decisively at that. That's fun. But I will say, right now, yes, is Cincinnati one of the hotter teams offensively, but it didn't suck. And
the defense does suck, but they pull off some sacks from time to time. Like Hendrickson's pretty good.
That's not gonna work against a team like Buffalo.
Yeah,
that ain't gonna work against really Baltimore. Baltimore swept them this year. Now, granted, both of those games were neck and neck games. I mean, they were right there. But if you're depending on that, Man,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
Burrow. So if Cincinnati doesn't make it, who will make it?
It'll be Denver.
Be Denver. I mean, I'd rather play Denver than Cincinnati. In my opinion, that's just me.
There's some type of thing where if Denver was to lose and Cincinnati loses, Miami gets it. If Miami was to win.
Yeah, I'd like to play Miami too. I'd be licking my fingers. You know, that looks like barbecue chicken right there. So this is what I found out. Somebody said, here's the final playoff scenarios heading into Week 18. Broncos clinch with a win against Kansas City or a Bengals and Dolphins loss. Dolphins clinch with a win against the Jets and a Broncos loss.
Oh, so they don't need Cincinnati to lose. Okay.
Yeah, and Bengals clinch with a win against Pitt and a Dolphins and Broncos loss. And now Miami might lose because I know Tua's been going through some crap. Waddle's been going through some crap. Both of them were out this last week, injury-wise. So that could be a possibility. We'll see. Hey, I was of the mindset, crazy crap happens in the NFL, but I was of the mindset that the Colts are absolutely were going to smash the New York Giants this past week because
thought it was.
They come out and drop a dud. Like they absolutely didn't even show up. Like that was freaking wild. So, right now, your playoff picture at the moment is what? What are we looking at? We got the 1 seed is who?
The 1 seed is the Chiefs. The 2 seed is the Buffalo Bills. The 3 seed is Baltimore. The 4 seed is the Texans. 5 currently is the Steelers. 6 is the Chargers. And 7 right now is Denver.
The team that I don't really worry about most on that is Houston. Houston just has not been playing that well, in my opinion. C.J. Stroud has not had as great of a year as I thought he was going to have, especially based off of what he's done last year. The Broncos is the other team. They do have a pretty good defense, and Bo Nix has stepped up this year. But if Cincinnati makes it in, I'm telling you, that's one team you cannot let up on. Like he just. Burrow's just so freaking good,
he's
man.
Good. No, don't get me wrong, he's good. But to beat Buffalo, no.
I don't know. I'm not gonna put nothing past that dude the way he's been playing, bro. I really ain't. Now in the other conference, who do we got?
Other conference you currently got. Now this is the one I'm excited for.
I mean, you just named off some really good teams on that side. Like there's some really good teams. So tell me about this one, yeah.
So I'm really excited for is the fact that the 1 seed is not decided yet in the NFC.
Yes, right.
It's going to be decided in the last
Detroit and Minnesota. Who do you think wins that?
Dude, that's going to be epic. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Detroit does have a good bit of injuries, but they are still playing good football.
Yeah.
Minnesota did lose by field goal the first matchup. It is rare you have 2 14-win teams, let alone they in the same division, but to play each other in the last week of the season not only to win the division, but to win the entire conference and see who gets the 1 seed. That is incredible. I think that's going to be a big time game. Give me, I think Detroit might get there at home. That's going to be a good game. But Sam Darnold, man, has been playing really good.
Yes, he has.
Incredible.
Just like I called it. Just like I called Darnold. Like for a while it wasn't looking good, but I was really hot on him coming into the NFL. I thought it was going to be amazing. Really hasn't done well, but then this year, all of a sudden, dude just looks amazing. Like he is playing lights out. He's playing so good. So you said on that side, you got that they're competing for the 1 seed. Who do you got at the rest of the seeds?
We got who's the 2 seed? The Eagles. We got the Eagles.
They've been playing good.
They're playing really good. The 3 seed is who's the 3 seed? My gosh, who's the 3 seed right now? I'm gonna went blank. No, it's not. I keep forgetting that Green Bay and all these guys in the same division. Oh my goodness!
It's crazy that they're all right there in the middle of
the Rams. The Rams just won their division. They just won the division.
That's right.
Yeah. So the 3 seeds the Rams. The 4 seed currently right now is Tampa Bay. And we can get to that. Did you watch the Falcons and the Commanders game, bro?
I did because Jaden Daniels is like on a lot of my fantasy teams. Like he's at least on 2 of my big ones, and I freaking love Jaden Daniels, bro.
What?
I had him and Brian Robinson. Yeah.
What a game, and what a F up by the head coach for Atlanta. Why do you not call a timeout? Like, why do you not call a timeout there, man? That makes no sense.
It really didn't make sense watching it live. And then who else you got? I like the Commanders a lot. Who else you got in that playoff?
You got the Commanders, and then you got Green Bay. No, you got
That's right.
Green Bay, then the Commanders. So yes. Yep.
Yeah, Commanders are a team. Like I'm definitely gonna be buying. I'm buying a Jaden Daniels jersey. He's just my dude now. Jaden's who I'm getting behind. All the chips are in on him for moving forward for me. I just love what I've seen from him.
Jay Daniels look
But
really good, man. I really do like him.
but yeah, you're right. In the TNT league, I scored 224 points in that. Yeah, I absolutely just destroyed Zach. Had a lot of big names. Like literally everybody performed except Terry McLaurin. McLaurin was the only one that goosed me pretty much. And then in the Jones County one, dude, I ended up scoring enough to where it puts me on the in the history of our league as the second most points ever scored in a week. For us, I had 205. Jaden Daniels, Jameer Gibbs, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Trey McBride, Mike Evans. It was just it was awesome, bro. I had a great Sunday.
You had a game, bro. Like
I had loved
you really
it.
did show out. You showed out.
I loved it. I loved it. It was so fun. And I win. I get to put my name on there for the 5th time. I freaking love it, man. You know, I love it.
Oh, I can't wait to see what Dewey says.
Oh yeah. I have to send that to you. Yeah, he said something. I have to send it to you after this. Yeah, right now, currently in this game, Bama is driving, trying to score a touchdown. They're down. They're down 6. They're trying to score a touchdown before half. Well, anything else? You want to cover here before we break it down, bro?
No, man. That is all, man. That is all.
When are we gonna any updates on UFC? Anything like that for us?
Nothing as of right now. Nothing as of right now. Hopefully soon, but nothing as of right now.
Yeah, I'm about to say something with the new year probably. They're going to get you involved in something of the sorts.
I know. I can't wait, man. I'm ready. Been training hard.
Yeah.
My brother's ready, but definitely we'll all be first to know once we I'll be first to know once we get on here. So let's do it.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, thank you guys out there for tuning into the live stream. Thank you out there if you listen to it on podcast. Be sure to support the show by subscribing, like, and follow, and sharing wherever you're seeing this. And make sure we get just support us here in the new year. We're looking, man. This is how many years now? This will be our 5th year of doing this.
Fifth year.
5th year doing this. 2025. Yeah, it's been fun, man.
Also, real quick, because we can do it right here while on the show. But
what?
It's 4th down, Alabama versus Michigan, dude. Oh my gosh, man, I would lose my mind because
you streaming it right now?
No, I'm not streaming it yet.
I'm streaming it right now. I got it on my phone. I'm watching it. Yeah, we can react to this one live real quick.
Yeah, I want to react to this one live because this is funny to me. I've had so many of you Alabama fans. Oh, we should have made the playoffs. Not TCU. Indiana sucks.
SMU sucks.
And Michigan gets the win.
They did. They stopped them.
They got to stop. No.
Wow.
Wait a minute. I already had called timeout. I'm a little late.
Hang on. I'm watching it. Milrose in the huddle. They just broke. Let's see here. 4th down and 10 with 56 seconds left. They need a touchdown. To even do anything on this play. This has to be an end zone shot.
Yeah, it's got to be.
All right, snaps the ball, drops back. He's scrambling to his left. They're closing in on him. He chunks it up, and it is short. There is no flag on the play, I believe, and the ball game is over. Quick question before we break it down. I asked Kobe, what's with Milroe next year? What does he do? Go to draft? Does he stay in college football? And if so, is he going to stay at Alabama? He said draft. I don't know who's drafting him. It's going to have to be a late. It's got to be a later.
Bro.
It's probably going to be later than. It might be later than Beck. It really might be.
Wow. It might be later than Beck.
Even with Beck being injured, I don't know. He's played that bad.
Do you think because him being an athlete, it might help him out?
Somebody might pick him like a Lamar thing, but even he ain't Lamar. To me, he didn't show quite the passing ability that Lamar did in college. Even though a lot of people crapped on Lamar's passing ability when he was coming into the draft. So
yeah, they did. But he's not. Come on. Hold up now. You remember when Kobe tried to make that comparison? Hold up now. Hey, call time out. We called Kalen DeBoer the best head coach in college football. Then he tried to compare Milroe a little bit to Lamar Jackson.
And he said he's a Heisman.
And a Heisman candidate. Because I remember guys making that argument. And even then, to sit here and say that they should have still made the playoff
Yeah, it's a no from me, dog.
Over
It's a no from me,
Indiana
dog.
and who's the other team?
SMU,
Who it was? You should have named
Indiana, SMU, Tennessee, maybe even they were going to try to say
exactly because that's actually somebody
no,
SMU. Indiana beat
bro.
Michigan.
I honestly think the same type of undressing would have happened against Ohio State as Tennessee.
Yes.
If Bama played them. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really think we would see the same type of just absolute, torture that game. Like it would have gotten ugly. I
Yeah, we
really
got
do think
looking
so.
bad.
I really do think so. I think you see the same exact result. Now I don't know about the Notre Dame thing. I'd have to see that. That's a different matchup. Like you said, it's matchups. Penn State, I don't know either. The matchup's just a little different.
Matchups is a little iffy.
Yeah, Texas. I don't know. We had to see that one as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the Ohio State thing, that nothing would have changed in my opinion there. But
Yeah.
Well, anything else you got? I mean, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We're looking forward to another new year, and just keep supporting, man. We appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys next year.
Yes, sir. Look, thank y'all everybody for all the support. Happy New Year's to 2000. Goodbye 2024. Hello 2025, and hopefully to another big and blessed year. So yes, sir.
Big stuff popping. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Boom, boom.
See y'all next time. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.